Institute, and he's here with his wife Aaliyah and their three children who are out in the kids program right now. And so Will is going to speak for us. We'll do the same thing. He'll speak for about 20 minutes, and we'll have a little prayer time for him when he's finished.
I may.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, boy, you're going to voice for me? Yep, okay. We're going to share responsibility. Okay. So, hello. You already heard my name. My name is Will. This is my wife, Aaliyah. And both of us are deaf. We're fully deaf, profoundly deaf. We've not been able to hear anything since we were born.
We're not suffering.
Yeah, we're not suffering because of our deafness. Everything's fine. So all is good, but so it's not a problem for us. I want you to understand that our deafness is not a problem for us. You want to add anything, Aaliyah? I'm still waking up here. He didn't sleep too well last night. On this Wednesday, we're getting ready to start for our Deaf and Family and Friends Camp, and my brain is just going so far much on that and being responsible for that. So our organization is called Deaf Streetlight. It's a doing business as name. It's our third name. Actually, our original name was Deaf and Hard of Hearing Institute of Christian Education, and it was that way for a long time. And it just kept going on that way, and and then deaf people that we recognize that they're smart people as well, and they can do things. But they changed it to Deaf Institute, DI, Deaf Institute. But that created some problems for some of the deaf people. Like, is it a deaf school, or is it a hospital, or... we would meet people and Deaf Institute? What is that? No. You don't want to be thinking that direction. Our focus is to help people know about Jesus. So that's the goal that we have. So the name, we made a change that made it a little bit more clear for everyone, for all people to understand. That way, the deaf people have a good, clear understanding what's going on, so we can communicate. With deaf people, you got to have light to see what's going on to be able to communicate. And the gospel, it represents light. You can't have the gospel. You got to have light to understand what the gospel says and with communication. And hearing people, we can listen to each other.
Yeah, hearing people, can just hear even in a dark room, but it's important for a deaf person to have the light because they do everything visually. So that's the reason why I'm a teacher of American Sign Language. I taught before in a college and then a high school, and recently now I'm just focusing on college. That's where I really love to teach American Sign Language. Okay, the world is a dark place. And if you see a light, people just focus on that. Where's that light coming from? So it's the same kind of thinking process. We want to be involved in the community. We don't want to sit in an office. My grandpa a long time ago used to own a car sailing or, a dealership. And he was really not a good businessman. People would look at a car, and he would sit in the office and hope, oh gosh, I hope they buy it. I hope they decide to get it. And, that's really not how it works. He needed to be out there. Hey, anything I can help you with? Any questions I can answer? That's the best way, not to stay in the office and pray that they make a deal. This organization is not new. It's been in existence since 1968. And this year, say that again. That's the year my mom graduated from high school. That's how I remember it. That makes it easy for me. So, at the beginning was Cecil Bennett. He first started the organization. I never met him, unfortunately. He died in 2001, and he became a Christian, or I became a Christian in like 2004. So I never met Cecil Bennett, but I've heard so many stories about him. And I know that there's big shoes to fill there. And will I be like Cecil Bennett? I don't know. And I'm not sure that matters to God. But the organization is important for the deaf. Growing up, Cecil had a daughter who was deaf, and she could lip read and speak some. And there were no barriers really growing up to communication. Cecil had a full-time job at GE, and he preached on Sundays in a small country church. And his daughter could lip read and would have a friend that interpreted some for her, and that's the way it went until someone invited her to a deaf church that had an interpreter there. And oh my goodness, it was very easy for her to sit and watch the signing and understand everything clearly. It was less work for her. You know, she didn't miss anything that was said, because in lip reading, it's so hard to catch everything that's being said. So she went back home that night with her family, and she said, I loved that experience so much. And her dad, Cecil, felt, okay, people need sign language. And he was already 60 years old, was retiring from GE, and set up the organization for deaf people. And learned to sign, became very skilled in his 60s. So that means anyone can learn sign language. It's really not too late. Now, the second person, of course, is here, Brian. 30 years? Is that right, Brian? Yeah. This is my fourth year as director. And it's the best job in the world. I love it. So we're based in Cincinnati, and we live in Kentucky. Okay, we have a lot going on in northern Kentucky in the Cincinnati area. The staff is mostly in Cincinnati and the greater Cincinnati area. That's where a lot of deaf people are, and that's our goal, of course. There's a lot of events in that area. Do you have anything to add? Nope, I think you covered it. Deaf Camp is starting this Wednesday. It's the 50th anniversary since 1975. It's been ongoing. We're going to start with the young only, and then we added families, more children, and it's a mix, deaf and hearing people, signing or unsigners. All of those are welcome. So this year we'll be taking a break. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Large celebration with our biggest numbers so far. Around in the 90s, up to 105. This week, we're pushing 140 people to come to Deaf Camp. Why so much more? I don't know. Only God. We've made a lot of contacts, and this should be the biggest year so far. The only negative is we need more scholarships. Yeah, we need more scholarships. That's one of the negative things. So we're just asking God and trusting in Him that those provisions will be made. We're going to let the people come and hope the money shows up later. We have many wonderful teachers, deaf pastors that will be there. It should be an awesome time. Tuesday night, there'll be a banquet with awards, with all the past deans from 75 till now. Some people have already passed, but we can also include their families for those people. And we'll have a special performance that night. A famous deaf woman, social media. She's famous on social media. And she'll be coming and giving a presentation. So we're looking forward to that. We also have Deaf Family Connect every year in March. And it focuses on families and individuals. People come together in one place. We'll have 300-400 people. It's a very large event in the Cincinnati area. So lots of booths, so families can learn what's available, what's out there. Story time for the kids, lots of sign language, food. Restaurants donate things so people have a good time. And any other preaching, special speakers? Oh, right. Yeah, for example, at the Deaf Connect 2 years ago, we had a special speaker that, from the NFL. And he'd been on 4 different teams, the Bengals, the Lions, Seattle, and one more, I think Dallas, the Cowboys. His name was John Kitcha. Yeah. And how do we get connected with him? I work teaching high school, and he was a coach for the football team, and we became good friends. And I thought, well, it'd be nice, he's a Christian, he loves God and Jesus, and he's a great man of God, so with a great heart. So I asked him if he'd like to join us for the event. Yeah, for the Deaf Connect. And he was willing to come. He was very happy to be there. And it was really touched me that, that all just worked out. That was because of God. And, the funny thing is his wife knew a little bit of sign because his friends' parents were deaf. Wow, and she had learned things, became very interested. So it's just amazing how things work out because of God. Just amazing. I'm trying to think. Right now, we're meeting at one church, Western Hills Church of Christ. They gave us storage space last year, office space. It's temporary. And in the future, we're still working with the board to make a decision on a new building that would become a community center in the Cincinnati area. Because the deaf right now don't really have a place, like a regular place to meet, say, once a month. We would have the opportunity for people to come in for different reasons and make use of the building for Bible studies, for classes, weddings, retreats, whatever they need. God knows the future, and so that's an opportunity just to make an impact and build a relationship. And teens also could come there to hang out, have Bible studies for teens. It could be an awesome opportunity to use the building in that aspect. They could help each other, in Cincinnati. It would be a good place for socialization, to support each other. And, it's really hard to find a place where they can all meet together. I have a few minutes left. Trying to think if there's anything else. Anybody have any questions?
Anybody have any questions that they'd like for Will or Leah to share with them? Yes. So maybe the people tend to live more closer to the city areas rather than in the rural areas. So they get to the cities, there's a higher percentage of deaf, maybe 2% of the deaf in the communities, among the population as a whole, maybe 2%. And in small communities, it's less than that. It's less than 1% in most of the small communities. So the opportunities for deaf are much less in the rural areas and much greater in the city areas. And so we are trying to serve more in the city areas. Any other questions? And even in the small communities, it's hard to get interpreting provided, so it's easier to find interpreters and get more accessibility in the communities, the larger communities.
I was just going to say about the percentage of people that have deaf. Okay, all right. I think it's interesting that, are you going to, oh, sorry. It's interesting that 90% of deaf kids have hearing families, and 90% of deaf adults have hearing kids. And so there's only, 10% of deaf who have deaf. So it's just an interesting combination from my perspective.
A lot of families that have deaf children, what's the percentage? Okay, let me go back. About 80% of families with deaf children, 8% are good communicating with their kids and their families. They're involved with the deaf. But that means like almost 90%, over 90%, they don't have communication with their children with sign language in a way that they can understand. So, there is no hope, there's no trust to these kids. They're struggling as they're growing up because the percentage is so low of parents that are learning to communicate with them. I have a wonderful example of that. So I have a story for you. I work at VA Institute. I was working as a dorm parent there. And there was a boy there, and he was there every night. We watch, and he was going to school and staying at the school in the dorm. Why? Because it was far from where he lived. And so they had this Deaf Institute set up there, and so he would check out the different ones that have, and wanted to find a place where he could communicate. And so he arrived there, and he was so excited because finally Back home here, was so excited to be back home here at the Institute rather than home with my family. Because at my home with my family, the people ignore me, they don't communicate with me, and they don't sign with me, nothing. And that I just touched my heart that he considered the deaf school as his home rather than his family. And it's like, oh, but your mom and your dad, they don't communicate with you. The other kids don't communicate with you. No, they hang out with their friends, and now I can be here and I can hang out with my friends, which is my family here, which is really my school now, and because I can sign and they can sign, and we roll up our sleeves and we can rationalize things together, and we can speak ASL together, and we can fellowship together, and talk with other people and communicate openly and clearly, and work together. And I can connect with lawyers and doctors and other people and restaurants in this community where people can benefit from my language and communicate with me through that language. Why? Because they don't have to write back and forth or try and gesture to communicate or just try and speech read. They just comfortably just let it out on their hands. And it's okay if hearing people are trying to communicate and gesturing and such. That's good. That's fine. That's a good thing. It shows that you're trying and you want to communicate with deaf, and that's a huge thing. Any more questions before we close for prayer time?
All right, thank you, Will and Aaliyah, for your telling us about what you do. Would you like to come down here with me, and we'll have a little time of prayer? Do I have a couple of volunteers who would like to pray for Will and Aaliyah and Deaf Streetlight? Okay, one. Anybody else? All right, go ahead. You begin, and then I'll close. God, I'm thankful for Will and Aaliyah and for Deaf Streetlight and for the ministry that they have to families. We're touched by the stories of families where the parents and the children are unable to communicate with each other, and we just pray that through this ministry they can help to facilitate and encourage that so that these families can be whole, that these families can be a safe place and a loving place. And we just ask your blessing on Will and Aaliyah, on their family, and on the work that they're doing, that it will just grow benefits for your kingdom. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, you're